Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly Potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor, along with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. We got some Bengals, some college basketball, college football, and much, much more to talk about on this pre-Christmas edition. We're doing this the day before Christmas Eve, so we're actually doing this a couple of days early with Christmas falling on a Thursday. So appreciate everybody just kind of moving their calendar around to maybe catch a watch or a listen of this. And we were happy to get it out early this week, so we would have one up. So there we go. Rick, what we got?
Hopefully you can check it out while you're traveling maybe. And Skinny, I did want to thank you for sending me over that picture of you this morning drinking your hot cocoa before the podcast. I appreciated that for the tweet.
See, the funny part to that stuff is I can't do any of that doctoring of photo stuff. I just can't.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm sure you don't, Rick, you clever little son of a you.
Okay. We'll have a good Ask Skinny Anything segment at the end of the show. But okay. Let's get into the Bengals first. They win 45-21 on Sunday. Burrow throws 4 touchdowns. Chase Brown scores 3 of them, 2 receiving, 1 rushing. The Bengals scored 35 points straight at one point in this game, Skinny. How do you explain last week's performance versus this week's performance?
Building momentum for 2026, Rick. That's what they're doing. They just started the first step towards building that momentum.
Well, okay, so that's my other question. Do you buy into that narrative at all, that theory of like you need to build momentum, or there actually is the potential for them to build momentum? Does this final few games mean anything for next year?
No, I think it does from a standpoint of guys stacking reps, like the 2 rookie linebackers getting more live game action, seeing more things, hopefully getting more consistent. Miles Murphy continuing to stack pretty good game after pretty good game. Dylan Fairchild, the rookie left guard, continuing to stack reps and continue to stack good reps. I think that's important. I think it was important for Burrow to get out of his own way. I mean, again, I'm not going to go back to psychoanalyzing like we all did for a week plus, but I think we would all agree that if Joe Burrow had turned in another clunker performance, you would have started scratching your head going, what is up? So instead, the week before, he has the second worst passer rating in a game in his career after the week in which he was sullen and moody and it was just out of sorts. And it made you wonder, that doesn't 2 and 2 doesn't add up there. And then he turns around this game and it's the second highest passer rating performance in a single game in his career. Some of it's Miami related. They're not very good to begin with. They were without Minkah Fitzpatrick. They started a rookie quarterback who got off to a nice start and then started doing some rookie quarterback things. I think the defense has made some strides. Even in that Ravens game, they only gave up 17 points. And another one was on a pick 6. So I think that's helped a little bit. So I don't believe the momentum part of it, but I do believe in guys stacking, more and more reps and more game action to hopefully have it slow down for them a little bit next year.
No, we talked last week about the fact that there probably isn't going to be any changes. So maybe that's the answer to this question to begin with. But do you think these last few games have any bearing on what the front office is thinking or the ownership group in terms of the future of the team?
So my post-game column I wrote was, they deserve to be happy. They deserve to get on the plane and go home and be happy. They played well. They looked like they were having fun. Everybody associated deserves that because they earned it. And so good for them. But you can't let anything that happens in these last 3 games fool you if you're the front office. You still need major overhaul on defense. And you can't let this cloud you. Like, as much as I think Miles Murphy's playing well, you still had no sacks from your defensive unit on Sunday. Not a single sack. And so, Shamar Stewart was pretty blah. I mean, he had 2 tackles. I remember one of them, but he sure didn't pop off the screen at me. Geno Stone on that Devon A-Chain long touchdown run looked like he was tackling air. I don't know what the hell he was doing there. It was almost like he was afraid of contact or thought they were playing flag football or 2-hand touch. So yeah, you can't be lulled into a false sense of security. It's happened before. It can't happen this time. I think the good thing is, I think you did also see that when all hands are on deck on offense, this is still a very, very explosive unit. I mean, you can't pick your poison with this unit. Gesicki gets a touchdown. Chase Brown had the 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving. Jamar had over 100 yards receiving. T makes a great catch and then has a great touchdown catch. I mean, the weapons are still bountiful. They just haven't had a chance to play together a lot this year. I don't think that was going to change some of the results because of the poor defensive performance in those other games. But again, it does show you that, hey, this offense still clicks at a high level when everybody's healthy and everybody's in the right frame of mind.
It does, and that was good to see, but it also makes the week before even more of a what the hell happened there situation for that group to get shut out. It's kind of telling on yourself in a way. It's like, well, if this is what you're still capable of, then last week, clearly your guys' heads were not in it.
Yeah, no, and sometimes football is a weird game. This game they were 6 for 6 in scoring touchdowns when they got into the red zone. Last week they got inside the 33-yard line 5 times and came away with no points. That's some of that can be pointed to simply execution, and they just didn't execute when they needed to in that Baltimore game. And this game they did. And again, I go back to Miami's just not very good, and that's why you can't lull yourself into that.
Yeah, that's a fact. Jamar Chase has been voted to the AFC team for the Pro Bowl in 2026. He was the only Bengal to get named. Are you surprised by that?
No, I think DJ Turner's played at a Pro Bowl level. I think I've said that early in the year, and I think I've said that multiple times, and he clearly is. But you know how this works. You got to get on the radar first a lot of times before, they will vote you in. And I think this was the year DJ Turner gets on a radar. Now people know who he is. Now you pay more attention to him when it comes to voting. And I think if he plays at this level next year, I think he'll be a definitive Pro Bowl. He's a third alternate. I don't watch the Pro Bowl anymore, but it feels like third alternates get in this game a lot of times for whatever different reasons there are.
Yeah, so people always seem to say no, or they can't go, they're injured, whatever. It's definitely not like guys are dying to go to the Pro Bowl. That's for sure. So
unless it's your first time, I think your first time you'd be excited to go for sure. After that, it probably is
Sure. Yeah. I mean, guys I'm not saying like no one wants to go at all, but there are definitely a number of guys every year that are like, I'm trying to get out of this thing. So Good chance that he'll find his way in that game. All right. Anything else on the Bengals, Skinny?
No. Like I said, I know fans probably are rooting for losses, and that's fine because you want the best draft pick you can get. But anybody that had the notion that they're going to tank, I think was out of their mind. I mean, you're just too prideful as an athlete at the professional level and a coach that you're trying to go win. And I'll give them credit. They won. They deserve to enjoy that win. But as I mentioned, the front office cannot be fooled. Listen, you can evaluate. You can say, okay, the 2 rookie linebackers, man, down the stretch really started to get it. We're going to bank on them again. I can live with some of those type of things, but you can't just all of a sudden go, going to run it back with the same dudes because look what we did. No. You're not can't do that. And you just can't.
See what you just mentioned there about like, oh man, the rookie linebackers showed progress down the stretch. That type of thinking really worries me with this franchise.
I will tell you this. I don't think after you plug them in this year that they were ever going to go on the market. Like when you're on the shopping list in this offseason, it has to be edge rusher, 3 technique tackle, safety, 1, 2, 3, then corner, and then veteran linebacker just to have another veteran. So it's way down the list. So you want these guys to show you something down the stretch to go, okay, yeah, we can get a mid-level free agent at that position just to have some experience there, but we think these guys are coming on. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you saw what you think you saw, I'm fine with that. But the problem is you just can't do all of this in one off season. And so if you think you're going to blow up the linebacker room, it's probably 5th on the priority list at the moment.
Yeah, I don't even mean the linebacker specifically. I just mean that line of thinking. It could be about Miles Murphy. It could be about whoever. Just that line of thinking of like, oh, they started making progress at the end of the year. We're going to be good with them next year. It's like, no, nothing about this defense was good enough this year. The problem is what you just brought up. You can't replace all of it. I mean, you have to pick and choose and prioritize. And so there are going to be certain position groups where that is what you ultimately talk yourself into as well. That guy looked good down the stretch. Maybe we'll give him another shot. And the linebackers are probably the most likely because of the youth. Yeah,
and I'll be honest with you, Rick. I'm going to write this piece. I don't know if it's tomorrow, if I have time on Christmas Eve day, because it's just crazy. We got to be down there for interviews and stuff, or Friday, the day after Christmas. But Jalen Davis has impressed me as a slot corner. I mean, he made the interception on Sunday. He had a tackle for loss. He's shown up in other games. And so I started Al Golden yesterday when we talked to him separately on a kind of a line of questioning that everybody else kind of jumped on, which was fine, of, Jalen Davis coming off the practice squad, getting plugged right in. And at one point, Al finally just looked up and goes, I got to be honest, guys, since he's been in the lineup, that's made all the difference in the world for all these. And he started listing off a laundry list of reasons why. And maybe they have found their Mike Hilton replacement in Jalen Davis. Mike was a practice squad guy for a year plus in Pittsburgh and finally got his chance. Now, Jalen's been all over the map in this league. If you go to his transaction page on ProFootballReference.com, and it was funny, Al yesterday, he said, he goes, I don't know how many times this poor guy's been waived or cut, released, re-signed to the practice squad. So I went real quick, got the media guide, and as we got done, I said, here, take a look at this. He goes, Yep, looks like his middle name is Waved, which I'm like.
How many times was it?
Oh my gosh, dude! I too many to count. It's an incredible amount to count. But you talk about perseverance, and when you finally get your chance, kind of going out and playing, good for Jalen Davis, and good for Al for literally saying he's made a ton of difference for these reasons. He said he calms everything down because he's always in the right place at the right time. There's something to be said. That was Mike Hilton, right?
Maybe after a certain point, you've seen all there is to see. You go to so many teams and so many systems and so many different ways of doing things. You're like, I've seen this before. I know it all.
Yeah, correct.
Slows you down. That's interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on him. All right, college football playoff. Alabama, Oklahoma was great. I thought that was a fun game to watch. Miami, Texas A&M was hideous, but it was close at least. You've got a little bit of drama there at the end in the 10-3 win for Miami. The other two games were absolutely horrible, as a lot of people predicted. Skinny, how worked up or bothered are you by the lack of competitiveness in those two games, the two smaller schools getting in, all of that's being talked about right now with the college football playoff?
Yeah, you got to come up with a formula that just one group of 5 is fine. The whole conference champion thing, I get that they have to be ranked a certain place. Why, Duke didn't get in because, they weren't ranked high enough despite being the ACC conference champion. You got to figure out, do you just do it where you go, let's just assume they're going to move to 16 because that sounds like what the groundswell is. You take the top 15 ranked teams in the college football playoff rankings, and then the 16th team is the one group of 5 team that gets a pass if it's not in that group. If there's a second group of 5 team that's moved into that ranking, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But that's just not the case. It was the way the scenarios and the criteria were laid out that you wound up getting these 2 conference champions in, and truthfully, neither one of them belonged, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, 2 things on that, though. One, everybody pointed to the lopsided scores in the quarterfinals as, oh, see, this is terrible. This is ruining the football playoff. You can't let this happen. I don't know if you've noticed, but every single year that we've done the college football playoff, the quarterfinals games have been bad for the most part.
Yeah,
there have been big blowouts in those games, regardless of who's playing in them. So I'm not necessarily convinced that these teams were the reason that the college football playoff is ruined, and it's always going to be like that. Now, that being said, I do think it's not ideal to have 2 group of 6 teams in the way it was this year. So hopefully they can figure out a way to do it better going forward. But Skinny,
I'll go back to this too. And I know Notre Dame fans are probably the ones screaming the most about this.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't lose your first 2 games. I mean, that's anymore. It feels like, well, yeah, we lost, but we deserve a third chance. No, you know what? If you don't want to be in that conversation of here's why you didn't get in, then just go win those games. Stop bitching about it.
Right. But then, of course, the problem with that is that's kind of the approach everyone's taking in this current era of the sport is avoid losing at all costs. So we lose all our rivalry games. We lose teams that want to play each other. And this, the Texas-Ohio State game that happened to start the year was awesome. But Texas got penalized for playing Ohio State. And so now there are going to be fewer teams willing to do that. So that part of it really sucks too.
And I wonder this, because remember back in the basketball selection process when all we heard was RPI, and people started tweaking different things, and we got to the net and those kinds of things. Maybe that's what college football just needs to tweak the way that these teams are rated, and then just go straight down the list of the ratings and go, here are the dudes that are in.
Here's my thing. The reason I just cannot get that worked up about this is, no matter what the system is, no matter what they decide to do, people are going to be bit. It's just what we like to do with sports. We like to complain about the system we're given, and our team didn't get in and that team didn't. It's just part of the nature of it. So I've just seen, we're still in the infancy stages of the college football playoff. We're trying to figure it out as we go, and people are losing their minds because we haven't even had the same format yet for more than 2 years, right?
No, right.
2 years, then it changed,
and now we're going to add a couple more, which I don't mind. I think 16 is the sweet spot. I've always thought it was the sweet spot for this. So let's just get there and be done with it.
Yeah, but let's get there and then run it for a few years and try to work out the kinks before everyone loses their mind about this is a disaster. It's like, guys, everything sucks. You're going to complain about everything. Enjoy the games. We'll try to make it better going forward. I don't understand getting so worked up over this every year, unless you're a Notre Dame fan. But the casual fans of whoever who are all worked up about the college football playoff, I really don't understand.
Yeah, one other tweak I wouldn't mind seeing, though, and it's probably going to change because, again, if you go to 16, you've got the even number of games. Nobody's going to have a bye. But with the current bye format, shouldn't those bye teams get a home game?
I mean, you would think. I think they're going to take away. I know there's a big. Those are big money makers. The bowls being at those certain stadiums, yes. But it feels like the teams would want that to be at their stadiums. Like it makes for good atmospheres. It obviously makes for a good advantage for the team that deserves it. I'm a little surprised there hasn't been more of a push to make that happen, Skinny, in the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm interested though with what tweaks they make again, because they're coming. There's something's going to be different about this.
Yeah, I do think we need to get to a point where we let something run for 4 or 5 years before we change it again, though. I know that's not going to be the case right now, but at some point you do have to figure this thing out.
Yeah, but I'll go back to if it's broken, fix it.
But it's always broken. That's the problem. It's always going to be broken. There's always going to be, even with NCAA tournaments the same way. It's like there's always going to be those few teams that we have an argument about at the end of the year that didn't get in. And it's like,
you know what's funny about that? I thought about that in this process too, because that conversation's come up. The funny part is, Rick, I couldn't tell you last year who the teams on the bubble were that didn't make it, nor do I really even care who the teams on the bubble were that didn't make it. I just don't care.
That would be my point. Okay, yeah, James Madison sucked this year. They got blown out or whatever. But in 2 years, they're not going to be any different than whoever it was 2 years ago that got blown out in the quarterfinals that I can't remember right now because they didn't matter. They had no chance of winning it. They came in, they got blown out. So you don't always get a great game in postseason play. That's just that's the nature of it. We all want buzzer beaters and exciting games the whole first day of the NCAA tournament. And a lot of times it doesn't happen. Everyone complains about how boring it was, how bad of a day of basketball was. That's just how sports work.
Yep.
All right. We've got New Year's Eve, Miami, Ohio State matchup. New Year's Day, that's at 7:30. We got New Year's Day, Oregon, Texas Tech at noon, Alabama, Indiana at 4, Ole Miss, Georgia at 8. Let me ask you about that Ole Miss Georgia game first before I ask you about the others. Do you think the Lane Kiffin thing makes Ole Miss more of a mess, or do you think it rallies them, or has no effect?
Yeah, I don't know if it did either. And again, probably because you were a little overmatched. You overmatched the opponent in the first game, and you didn't.
Yeah, hard to say from that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think all 4 of these matchups are outstanding. By the way, Alabama, which everybody doubted, now they get a chance to take on the number 1 seed, right?
Let me ask you, Alabama. Do they not feel like that last 4-11 seed in the NCAA tournament that's going to make a run?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll pick Indiana to win this game, but Alabama feels a little bit like that team that's they got in and now they're dangerous.
And especially after rallying from 17-0 down on the road. I mean, now you're playing with house money, right? I mean, now whatever pressure there was to at least do something in this playoff, well, you've done something. If you go lose at the 1 seed, it's not embarrassing because they're the 1 seed. And so you just, you're playing with house money. But man, all these matchups are awesome, I think.
Yeah, it is a really good slate. Now, I'll say Oregon and Texas, for whatever reason, I just did not watch those 2 teams that much this year.
Texas Tech is so good defensively. Their front 7 is absurd.
I've read so much about them, and I've heard so many prognosticators talk about this and say how great they are. But that's the game that I know the least about. So I was excited to watch those teams go at it. And of course, I'll be getting ready to call an NKU game that day at that time. So I won't get to catch really any of that game. But the other 3 I'll be able to watch. And like you said, I mean, those should be awesome games. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Probably Oregon, Texas Tech. I think both are legit national championship teams. I do think Ohio State handles Miami of Florida, but Miami of Florida's defense is really, really, really good. I just don't know if that offense can do enough against that Ohio State defense to really make it a scare of any kind.
I would tend to agree with that assessment, which makes it a good time to maybe go into our pick'em segment where you were 1-1 last week. I was 2-0. So you're 48-52 now. I am 54-46. The only separator there was the total in the Bengals game. It ended up going over. We've got the New Year's Eve game, 7:30, Miami and Ohio State. The Buckeyes are a 9.5-point favorite. The total is 42.5.
Yeah, I think Ohio State handles business. I'll go Ohio State 27, Miami 10.
I have 28-10, so we're right on the same page there. OSU and the under for that one. Then Sunday at 1 p.m. we've got Cardinals at the Bengals. Bengals are a 7-point favorite. The total is 53.5.
Yeah, that total I don't think can be high enough. I think the Bengals get back in the 40s again offensively. It's a bad Arizona defense. They like to throw it a lot, which means you're going to have a bunch of different possessions in this game. I'll go Bengals 45, Cardinals 24.
I want 34-24, so we are both on Bengals and the over there. What do you like as your best bet of the week, Skinny?
I'm taking over in the Bengals game. I still don't trust this Bengals defense a ton. Arizona likes to throw the ball around a bunch. They've actually had some offensive success, but boy, their defense is just awful. And then they lost Walter Nolan to an injury. They lost the Sweat kid to an injury. They're a physical mess and a mess in general. I think this will be another big Joe Burrow game, in my opinion, and get the good vibes going again.
I want to like Miami. I want to like Alabama and the narrative of them being that hot team that snuck in and now they're dangerous. But I'm just going to be smart and go chalk and do what's got me here all year. The team that's probably been most successful for me betting on all season. Ohio State, Indiana, 6-point teaser. So take Ohio State down to 3.5, take Indiana down to 0.5 point. They just basically have to win. Not basically, they do just have to win in that case. And do it that. That's minus 110 odds. I just looked it up in FanDuel. So basically the same as making a normal wager there. All right, let's get into some college basketball talk. Cincinnati loses to Clemson 16-65 in a wild game over the weekend. Skinny, do you view this performance more through the lens of I'm pleasantly surprised that they fought back after such a putrid first half and considering the way things are going? Or did you view it more as what a disastrous first half, this team is completely out of sorts still?
No, I mean, it was all the feel goods after Alabama State, right? Jizzle's back, playing together, look good, or at least against Alabama State, but you feel like, all right, you got a key piece back. Now go on the road to Clemson. And yes, the end result was they battled it to a 1-point game at one point, and had a kind of a long 3 at the buzzer to try to force the overtime. Got to give them credit for that portion of it. But the fact that they fell behind 30-5 or whatever it is, coming off that Alabama State, I mean, what are you doing? And unfortunately, it goes back to this team against any high level, and I don't even think Clemson's high level. I think they're 36th in KenPom. That's solid, but it's not. I don't think they're high level. They're certainly an NCAA tournament caliber team. They're going to have to battle to get in. So they're not a dud by any stretch of the imagination. But this team's offense is just a joke, and I don't know how's it going to get better against Big 12 competition.
Well, that's the thing. Like, think about what they're going to do against Iowa State if Clemson limited them to 18 points in the first half.
Right. They're not creative on offense. He has no real answers. He has no guy at the moment. Jizzle, I think, will eventually be the guy, but is it going to be a guy that gets you 16 points on 6 of 15 mid-range jump shots? Great.
What are your thoughts on how Jizzle has looked so far and the team has looked with him?
I think he's looked okay. I mean, he's a good player individually. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. But, again, that was kind of the we always used to make fun of the Calipari tweak and the whatever it was at Christmas time. I mean, this was the tweak of adding at least a Big 12 caliber player into your rotation. And I don't think it's going to happen overnight. But even if he plays to his level and it raises the team's level a little, I just don't think they're good enough across the board to compete night in and night out in that league.
It's the way it's looking more and more. The one thing with Jizzle that I would really be excited about as a UC fan, or at least I think would make an improvement, is now you can go Day Thomas, Jizzle, and Buck Harris with like 3 veteran, defensively tough guards on the floor. Whereas before, whether you had Kirk Kreese out there or Sean Abayev, you had at least 1, if not 2, if they're playing together, just complete albatrosses on the defensive end, guys who could not keep up. I mean, Kerr doesn't really care, and Sean is a freshman who also is really worried about the offensive end. So it was a disaster for them defensively against good teams when you had real weak links like that out there. Now that you can kind of put 3 experienced, tough, athletic dudes out there on the perimeter, it does feel like it gives you a chance to be more of a veteran, tough defensive team like people expect UC to be.
Yeah, I think to your point, less Abayev and less Kirk Kreese on the floor. I don't know if it makes this a winning caliber team, but it makes it a better team. I mean, Sean
Abayev, those important moments, right? Like where it matters.
He looks like a freshman who's overmatched against better competition. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not the first highly rated kid coming out of high school that all of a sudden faces grown-ass men, and he's just not good enough at the moment to do it. I think we're all expecting that because he's a 5-star McDonald's All-American going to come in and do all this. I mean, some of the reports over the summer where he wasn't playing all that great, and he really hasn't played all that great.
And I think he's shown flashes offensively that he can really help them, and they need him sometimes. But it's not consistent enough. And certainly with Wes Miller running the show, it's not going to be consistent enough, and you're not going to get the most out of him on the offensive end. And defensively, like a lot of really talented freshmen on the offensive end, he doesn't care. He doesn't know how to play hard every possession. He doesn't know how to fight through screens and all of that stuff. And he may not care all that much because he plans to, he could be planning on making an exit somewhere else and making more money next year. So that's the way it goes for a lot of these guys right now. It's tough to win with freshmen that don't want to defend.
I just wonder, is Kerr trying to lobby for a 7th year somewhere?
I would assume there's going to be a lawsuit. My man he's been the best at that. You got to give him. Yeah.
He's great at it. He milked his money out of Kentucky, got his extra year, and he's milked the money out of Cincinnati. Yeah. And he plays like a guy who doesn't care about anything other than the paycheck.
Nothing. He's getting 7 figures. He's happy to be there, man.
Yep.
Xavier won at Georgetown 80-77. Musketeers bounced back after the 41-point loss on Wednesday. I'll open it up to you, Skinny. What do you make of this Xavier team at this point with those 2 performances back to back, and given the rest of what we've seen this year so far, which has been a complete roller coaster?
I mean, look, we don't know everything, you or I, but that's kind of what we're trying to do on this podcast, is give our opinion. And to that question, I go, I don't know. I don't know. That turnaround stunned the hell out. I just okay, what team? What are you guys? What are you? And maybe it is a team that on certain nights with the right matchup is going to put points up and they're going to beat you 80-77. And then on nights where they just can't make shots and can't get into an offensive flow and they're overmatched on the other end, they're going to lose at home by 30 points to somebody.
Bingo. That's exactly where I came out on it. And, I'll probably change that opinion in another week or two as well when they do something crazy or completely different. But
Ed Cooley just threw a water bottle at me.
You actually got me on that. I didn't know what you were doing there. I thought someone just shocked you or something, or the dog bit you. I didn't know what happened there.
Yeah, no, Ed Cooley's outside my window and just threw a water bottle at me.
Was that not crazy?
Crazy.
What is he thinking?
So one of our assistant coaches, we were talking about that today, about he deserved more than one game, blah, 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 blah. And he said, well, what'd he do? One of our guys goes, he hit a kid with a water bottle. He goes, what do you mean? Like one of his players? I go, no, a child. He threw it in the stands and hit a child. And he looked at me like, no, he didn't, did he? I go, he absolutely did. And I like Ed Cooley. I think he's a really good coach, great personality, all those things. But you got to get more than one game, and you got to get more than one game against some scrub team you're playing and not a league game. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, that was just a wild reaction by him. By the way, he's been in game after game of watching his team play like crap over the last 2 seasons. Yeah. So it's not like this was the first time he'd seen them screw up a game late and play like complete imbeciles. But for him to turn around and fire a water bottle into the second row, and apparently it was a family friend who was sitting right behind the bench at the game.
I didn't know that part of it.
Baby of a family friend. So fortunately, it's not like just some random person that might have, be at odds with him and be thinking we want this guy fired, because otherwise who knows how far this might go. I agree. He got off easy with the 1-game suspension, but that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen a coach do. We've seen big time tantrums, but to turn around and fire a water bottle in the row right behind your bench like that was just strange.
What if that had been a coach who's considered a villain, whatever that means, right? Like a Hugs,
a Bobby Knight type.
A Coach K. I like Izzo.
People,
I know a lot of
people have been heavily criticized for less.
Yes, correct.
And also, what if that was a player who turned around and threw a water bottle at a fan?
Well, and I've heard that brought up too, and that player would get way more than one game. I can guarantee you that.
And we'd have all types of think pieces about what a big deal it was too. It would be like the worst thing ever. You would have thought he shot someone. This was just such a strange thing for Ed Cooley to do, and such a strange sort of aftermath of it as well. I don't know what I would have been happy with. I'm out for blood. I don't think he needs to lose a job over it. I don't think you need to suspend him for some insane amount of time, but just missing the Coppin State game seems like a pretty easy slap on the wrist for him.
Yeah, I didn't mean to hijack your Xavier take there. I couldn't figure out a good time to bring that Ed Cooley take in for us.
No, that was actually more interesting than anything I was going to say. Staying on the Ed Cooley thing, it is a sad state of affairs at Georgetown, by the way. I can't believe their program has gotten to this point, but no one shows up, and it's to the point where I don't know that you could win them back at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what they can do, because I thought that was a home run hire for them. I really did. I mean, he's in the league. He knows that area. Recruits the East. All those. It just seemed like a home run, and it's not been that
at all. Yeah, I mean, it's been a total disaster. But even if they started winning games, I don't know that the fans care at all there anymore. It's completely lost the 80s and 90s Georgetown feel of what they were. It's completely gone.
Yeah, it is.
People talk about UC not having success since about around that same time, but their fan base still shows up. You still know about UC basketball going on here in town, and that's with other professional sports as well. I mean, the way I talked to buddies in Georgetown. They're like, yeah, it's completely non-existent. Nobody cares at all that it exists.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Just to follow up on what you said, I think the exact same thing as you with Xavier. It's like that. I think what they showed in this 2-game stretch is that on any given night, they might be able to play well enough to keep it fun and be competitive for that night. But long term for this season, I can't imagine them winning a lot of games, and you're going to have some really, really ugly nights like that Creighton game, I think.
Yep.
All right, Kentucky, another interesting story this week. They followed up the win over Indiana last Saturday with a big win over St. John, 78-66 this past Saturday. A massive storyline coming out of that one. Jaden Quaintance is back, and he made a huge difference. I thought he was really the turning point in this game when he took over there in the second half. He finished with just 10 points, 8 boards, and 2 blocks, but it came in 18 minutes, and 5 of his 8 rebounds were on the offensive end. Him going out, snatching those balls, and then dunking them back in, to me, is what kind of won this game for Kentucky in the second.
Had a couple of blocks too. In fact, he had one right at a guy tried to shoot right at him in the lane, and he rejected that thing and sparked the fast break bucket. He was a huge difference. Obviously, so was Jalen Lowe. I was just calling up the UK box where they're playing Bellarmine as we speak and winning by 15-20, something like that. I don't think Jalen Lowe is playing today. I think they were keeping him out as a precaution.
Makes sense.
I think, to me, though, they think he can gut out the season and play it. Lamont Butler did that last year, but there were times he was in and out of games and not in a game here or there. I think Jalen Lowe makes a clear difference in this team. It was really Quaintance was the story, but Jalen Lowe was and Atega Owe were the subplots because Owe finally played like he's supposed to play or was expected to play. I hope that they can find a way to manage this because I think it is important that whatever minutes he gets, it may not be 32 a night, maybe it's 20 off the bench. And if things are going well and you got yourself a lead and you can pick your spots to get him out, then get him out.
Yeah, and that's the tough part about this. You will try to manage his load as much as you can, but it's not like it's a fatigue issue or an overuse issue. It's literally just if he gets bumped the wrong way at any given time, that shoulder might pop back out on him. And it just feels like it's going to be a constant nagging thing all year. If he can stay on the court, there might be a point where this just forces him out for the long haul, and that would be really rough for this team.
You and I know, you see it up close and personal. This isn't like setting a screen at the YMCA, right? You're running through big boy screens and maybe even blowing up a screen. Probably pick your spots there if you're Jalen Lowe. The physical off-ball contact, I think that's the part that people don't always seem to understand of just how physical that stuff is off the ball. Not dirty, just physical. And him having to go through that, can he keep going through that? Because he is going to get bumped on a screen. He's going to probably try to take a charge even though he probably shouldn't do. It's just that's basketball. And that's where I just worry about that with him.
If I'm a coach playing against them, I'm running him off a ball screen every single time to start the possession. I'm hammering that shoulder with a heavy screen with our biggest, most physical guy to start every possession just to see how much he really wants to be out there toughing it out. That's how sports work.
Yep,
but also the thing about those shoulders, man, it's like anytime they reach out for a loose ball or they reach out for a rebound, it's like those sort of glancing blows where they're overextended a little bit seem to really be touchy with those types of injuries. So it's really concerning with him.
I coached a game down in Berea, Kentucky this week at high school. We were in a 2-day kind of event down there. So I went down for Saturday and came back because I had to cover the Bengals game on Sunday. And they fed us. So sitting down with the team, whatnot, our scorekeeper actually had the Kentucky game on the phone. So I watched about a 10-minute block, and it was actually the sequence where they kind of took the lead for good. But then driving home, I'm listening to the game driving home, and I guess at one point they went on another run, and St. John's took a timeout to try to stem the tide, and one of the Kentucky players came over to try to do that jump bump with Jalen Lowe, and Lowe kind of turned his shoulder gently like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, thank you. I'll pass on that.
Yeah.
Give me a pat on the butt, maybe. The other thing about this is they held high major opponents the last 2 games to 60 and 66 points. I don't think Indiana's a juggernaut offensively. I think they're going to have some off nights, but they're getting it done with defense. Yes. And I don't think that's what Mark Pope is comfortable doing. I don't think that's what he wanted to do, but I'll give him credit for seemingly adjusting over the last few weeks and kind of molding his team more around that toughness and defensive identity, and they've kind of taken to it. It seems to be working for them over the last 2 games.
And Lowe and Quaintance then give you the extra offensive firepower you need, and especially to your point on the offensive rebound stuff. The first half against Bellarmine, I watched right before we started doing this podcast, and they weren't playing great, and it felt like he and the team got a bunch of offensive rebounds. Those second chance opportunities are just gold in my opinion, especially in high leverage games.
especially with a guy like Quaintance, who you really can't stop if he gets an offensive rebound.
Well, yeah, that's right. He's not just getting the offensive rebound. He's going to turn and dunk it on you.
Yeah, he's pogo sticking back on your head with those long arms too. Like he was like fading away and dunking it in that game. He's a crazy athlete to watch. Really fun player.
But it's so funny. So I do a radio hit every Monday in Lexington, and normally we talk about Reds and Bengals. He wants that perspective. But he also asked me about Kentucky a lot of times, and I did say I haven't seen a season for a team before the end of December that's gone 180 twice, like 180 from the high of beating Purdue, and this is a Final Four team, to a 180 after Gonzaga, that this team sucks. They're quitters. There's no effort. They got real issues, and they did. I mean, don't get me wrong. Whatever those criticisms were real.
Yeah.
And then to do this 180 back to, well, man, maybe this is a team that can make a run in the NCAA tournament and have a successful SEC run. It's just I've never seen it change in a season so quickly for a team, both good and bad.
What's crazy is the things that were being said about them negatively a few weeks ago, like here in Cincinnati and publicly on airwaves, were nicer and kinder than the things that were being said about, like, by the people around the program in Lexington. Right. Like, it was getting really dark. There's like, hey, I mean, these guys do not like each other. It's going to be really ugly here. And they found a way to reel it back in and get it going. So good for them. We'll see where it goes from here because they've still got a lot of difficult games coming up on that SEC slate.
Yep.
Northern Kentucky lost 85-74 to Chris Mack's Charleston team on Sunday. Skinny, before I ask you about NKU, let me just paint the picture for you of after the game. I'm looking over behind Charleston's bench. We've got Chris Mack standing with his associate head coach Jeremy Groh, who was previously with him at Xavier, and then he was at Furman before that. We've got Travis Steele there taking a picture with them. We've got Mario Mercurio from Xavier. Trying to think, I'm leaving out somebody, but if you would have told me that picture was taken in the year 2025 and then told me where all those guys were at currently, right, I would have been like, what the hell happened over the last few years or whatever? It was just a weird, surreal picture to see all those guys behind the Charleston bench at NKU's arena.
Yeah, no, that does sound very, very odd.
Yeah. So let me ask you this about NKU. How worried should Norse fans be about the fact that they've lost the 3 close games against good competition now, that they've been right there? They've been for the taking, but Purdue-Fort Wayne, you lose a 15-point halftime lead. Oakland, you had multiple chances down the stretch, including a late lead in that one. You let it slip away, and then you lose this one to Charleston where you were in the mix. It ended up being a double-digit loss, but it was a one-possession game there in the final few minutes. What do you make of that right now?
They don't seem to have a closer. And right now, defensively, they're not good enough to close games out on that end of the floor. In a vacuum, I didn't even know what the spread was, but I would have told you Charleston was probably 5 to 7 points better than them. I don't know what the point spread was. I really don't.
I think it was 3.5 Charleston, maybe.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, they were favored to win that game. Listen, I don't think because of who I'm about to tell you this team beat is any significance, but there is. I mean, PFW did go beat Notre Dame, which is the damnedest thing, right? And so, and tough guy Micah Shrewsbury is going to grind the tape and fix this. Yeah, you do that, you goof. And the Oakland game, I think, was the one real disappointing one out of it because that was at home and that was for the taking. Listen, losing on another court when a team rallies, that happens. I mean, part of home court advantage sometimes. And Charleston, to me, was a better team. So the one that would be worrisome is a little bit of Oakland. But I go back to who's the closer? Who goes get your bucket when you got to have one? I know I was listening to your broadcast a little bit on Saturday before the Bengals game, and Donovan O'Day just seemed to be like a mess on the offensive end early in that game. I think Jim Kelch twice talked about him shooting floaters off 1 foot, and I think you even said, square up and go up and shoot a shot. And I don't know if it's a one-off for him, and I don't want to point the finger just at him, but they just don't seem to have a guy at the moment.
Yeah, no, he actually, in the second, he did start off a little slow in terms of missing shots, just not able to finish. He went right past their defense with his athleticism because Charleston's not nearly as athletic on the perimeter. He was going right by like Connor Hickman and getting to the rim, but then he was missing his finishes. But he really got NKU going and brought them back to start the second half. He had a great burst there. But your point about them not having a go-to guy is an interesting one. And it's funny because we've been talking about one of the great things about NKU this year is you're not just relying on one guy in Marquez Warwick or one guy in Trey Robinson or one guy in San. It's like you've got 4 dudes on the offensive end. You've got Cale Robinson, you've got Donovan O'Day, you've got Dan Goretzka, you've got LJ Wells. Like you've got guys that can actually score this year. But the other side of that coin is, okay, when it comes down to that crunch time or you're in a 3-minute drought and you haven't scored, who's the go-to guy that you give the ball to and he says, get out of my way, I'll carry us through this stretch? they haven't figured that part of it out right now. It seems to be Dan Goretzka is the guy getting the ball in those moments, and he's their best scorer. He's been very talented, but he hasn't done great in those moments. So I'm curious to see where it goes from here in terms of, do they look to somebody else in those moments? Do they try to do something else with Dan or what have you? But more than anything, your point about the defense is the big one. I just don't think the defense is where it needs to be right now. They're scoring more than they ever have at NKU under Aaron Horn, and they're not winning close games because the defense isn't good enough right now. And the good news about that, if you're an NKU fan, is they always seem to get the defense up to par. The offense is usually the struggle. So maybe it'll all work out here in the next month.
Yep, hope so.
All right, let's get into Ask Anything. Close this one out.
Let's do it.
David says, as a guy in my 40s, I never know what to ask for when family members demand a Christmas list. What are the 2 or 3 best Christmas ideas for a grown man?
Man, that's a great question because it's funny you say that. I mean, I'm at the stage of life, and I'm older than what's my man's name again? I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah, David.
David, I'm older than you. I was asked that question myself, and I'm like, I don't need anything. I just don't. At some point in life, you know what? You just don't need anything. I mean, I got to the point where I think 2 Christmases ago, I asked for sweatpants. I wanted a new whole thing of sweatpants. It was time to just get a little bit more dressier. I think I've told you, sweatpants now if you get the right style, they look respectable. I mean, they really
you don't
truly
need
look
the old
respectable.
cotton drawstring pants on
Correct.
anymore.
Yeah, no. I mean, and so I wanted that. I mean, one year I got a whole bag of footies because I needed new footies. I just don't need it. I don't need anything. I know that's terrible. So I don't know what to tell you what to ask for. I mean, do you need a new razor? Do you want to join like Harry Shave Club or maybe ask for an experience? Like, how about 2 tickets to your favorite team's game in another town where you and the missus go, spend a weekend, go to a game, spend a night on the town, all that kind of stuff. To me, I think experiences would be at that stage something more than just a gift.
What's the best gift you've gotten in the last 5 or 10 years?
Well, sweatpants. No, actually, we do one within our in-laws' families. I can't remember what we. I think we can spend up to $100 on gifts, and then we do gifts exchange among us. We like draw Secret Santa, so you give that. I gotta see if I get this right. My wife's husband's brother-in-law, and I needed it. I actually did put it on the list because I needed it. Got me a coffee maker. Usually, I put like something like that on the list. Clock radio. He got me a clock radio that I can charge my phone on. Sit the phone on top of the clock radio. I like that. That was actually very nice. But I didn't ask for those things. I maybe my wife might have done it for me. Usually, I ask for a couple dozen golf balls. Those chew up some money, and that's really what I need. For the most part. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong without asking for an experience, though. Don't make it too pricey, but something that's in a decent price range that you're going to enjoy that more than you're going to enjoy. I don't know, whatever else is going to, a sweater. I don't know.
I think that can be good. I'll tell you, here's my little trick that I like to try to do is, here's a good example of one that I've done in the past, but I like to try to get on things where it's like got a continuous train to it that you just need to keep adding something to it. So like, for instance, I don't know, is it Ryobi or Ryobi? Do you know how to say it?
I think it's Ryobi.
Ryobi, that's what I say as well. So I didn't want construction guys to make fun of me here, but Ryobi, we were on that battery system for our tools and stuff like that. So it makes it easy. Every Christmas, just be like, add on another one of their tool list. Anything from the Ryobi collection, I'm fine with. I'll find a use for it. And it makes it easy. Like, I don't really need any of that stuff. I don't do a lot of handyman stuff, but it's nice to have it around when it comes up. And if you can't think of anything to ask for, it's a kind of a good price point for them. It's usually somewhere between like $70 and $100.
And listen, if you do need something, like if you need a 3/4 zip, or you need a new pair of pants, or you need a new pair of shoes, you know what you're going to do? You're just going to buy it. You just go buy it.
You're grown up.
Yeah,
and you need it now.
Christmas really is for kids. I mean, it just is. Yeah. And for me, we're doing our basketball team tomorrow. $20 was the max. We're doing a gift exchange. It has a certain theme to it, and I'm hoping to get a gift card out of it. That's fine. Find me a $20 gift card and all this gift exchange stuff, and I'll be a happy guy. That's perfect for me.
Well, that's the other thing. Maybe make yourself a little goofy and act like you're really obsessed with certain things. Like be like, oh, I'm a big whatever guy. And then you can just ask for gift cards to that place every year, right? Like I did that with Amazon, which is Amazon's the most generic. But everyone in my wife's side of the family just like, oh, he's a big Amazon guy. So they just bought Amazon gift cards for everything. I'm like, that's great. Use it on anything.
I mean, let's face it. Christmas at the end of the day is for kids. And I mean, you're getting them stuff that they can go enjoy as a hobby, a learning tool. You know this. I mean, we were all disappointed as kids when we got clothes, right? We didn't want clothes for Christmas. We wanted something to play with, and it's for kids. And now as an adult, like I said, if I want to go get something wardrobe wise, pair of shoes, whatever, I'm gonna go buy it. If I need a new rake, I don't need that for I don't need a new Ryobi tool for Christmas. You know what I can do? I just go buy the damn thing if I need it.
That's true. That's true. But most of the time, that's why I like that idea, because it's like a lot of times it's not something I actually need. It's like, would that maybe come in handy one day if I happen to see something I could use it on? Sure, but I'm not going to go buy a whatever tool. I don't use any tools, if I'm being honest.
You let me know maybe in 3 to 5 years how many of those Ryobi tools you've used in that time span.
That's actually a great question, because I've got like 6 or 7 of them downstairs right now. 2 of them are still in the box for sure.
Yeah. For
absolute certain. One I've only used one time. So that's at least like 3 of the 7. Almost half of them have barely been used at all. The others, one's a mower, one's a leaf blower.
Yeah.
Those are good. A mini chainsaw was good. I liked that. I've used that a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can parse it out like that. But yeah, our 2 years ago when we would do this episode, our saying on it was blank Christmas. So now I have a kid. I don't say that anymore because I do enjoy doing it with him.
It's for kids.
Yeah, it's fun. But you're right. It's for kids. All right. Christmas movie that's overrated and one that's underrated, Skinny. Or just your favorite Christmas movie, if you want to do that.
Believe it or not, I know that everybody in my family loves this movie. I think Elf is overrated. I don't know. It's too creepy for me. Like this big tall dude is creeping on what's her face, the singer. I just got the great.
Yeah, I don't know what her name is either. I'm bad.
Zooey Deschanel. Yeah, Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah.
He's sitting on Bob Newhart's lap. I don't know, man. That one just creeps me out a little bit.
Will Ferrell's very good at that role. I mean, it's funny, but I get where you're coming from. People like that movie a little too much.
Yeah, underrated, and maybe because I watch it all the time. It's the old White Christmas. That just embodies Christmas to me. I know people say it's wonderful. I know people say It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life gets dark at times, and it is a good movie, and it does have a feel good ending that can move you to tears. But I don't go out of my way to watch that one.
I gotta be honest. I think they all kind of suck
in their own way.
Yeah. Which Christmas song does Skinny hate?
I don't know if there's a Christmas song I hate.
I like that they led with that instead of the second part of that question is which one is your favorite, but they lead with the hate part with you, which I appreciate.
Chuck Berry's Run Run Rudolph is probably my favorite. I like Chuck Berry's Run Run Rudolph. That's one. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's one. What's there to hate? Listen, I'm not here going to tell you that I put on Warm 98 in November when they switched to Christmas music, but around Christmas time, I like most Christmas songs are great, especially on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. You're just kind of hanging out, opening presents, put the music on. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like its own genre in a way.
Feliz Navidad's a good one.
Feliz Navidad's a really good one, especially if you've got like a 2.5-year-old that's trying to sing it. It's very fun.
That's even better.
Yeah. Would you rather help decorate the house? Nope. Oh, okay. Hold on. This. Let me start over here. I didn't realize this was head commas. Would you rather help decorate the house, wrap gifts, or go Christmas caroling?
Ooh. Can I stick a needle in my eye instead?
I think that's what they were going for here, is my guess.
Yeah. We did that. There was a group of us seniors in high school that went caroling one year, and actually it was very enjoyable. It was like 8 of us that went caroling around a neighborhood over in Villa Hills, and it was
drinking hot cocoa with Kahlua in it.
Yeah, it wasn't hot cocoa. I can probably tell you that. But we busted out the carols. That was kind of fun. Gosh, man, thing is, I don't do any of that stuff though. I don't decorate the house. I don't wrap the presents, and I don't go caroling. I don't do any of it. Yeah, I don't sound like a humbug. I just don't do that stuff.
I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by that. Now, fortunately, now I'm married. I don't have to do it, but I was big before I was married. I had to do my own gifts for people. I would just do gift bags for everything. I never wrapped.
And so it's so funny. So back when, I don't know, when we had kids or whatever, we were putting presents under the tree and stuff, I would go wrap my own, and it was an unmitigated disaster every time. Like I'd come up just a hair short, and I go, to hell with it. They can see the bottom of the box for all I care. It's I came up just short. The tape job was a mess. I'm like, okay, I tried. Here's a bow. Dude, have a good time. You're going to rip it off. Funny part is you make such a big deal of wrapping. And I will tell you, people who can wrap, I admire. The ones that wrap it just perfectly, you're like,
it's impressive.
On, man. Dude, this is impressive.
It's cool.
But at the end of the day, you look at their impressive work and you go, yeah, and it's gone in 10 seconds.
Right. it's a pointless skill to have, but it's kind of neat that they're so good at it. Like the people that do like ribbons with the scissors and stuff, they're just ripping them off.
I'm 7 left thumbs trying to go, why is this not reaching? And then you cut out a little piece to maybe patch over it, and then that tape job doesn't work. You're like, yeah, it's going to have to go. I got to do it. I like the gift bag concept. That's wise.
I'd go to the Dollar Tree and just load up on like 13 gift bags and just
smart.
Shell them out, baby.
Got to give you credit on that one, bro.
Yep. When is the appropriate time to put up Christmas lights, and when do you need to have them down by?
I think day after Thanksgiving is a good target date to put them, and I think anytime the week after the New Year.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be New Year's Day. I think you need to leave them up through New Year's Day, and
so that's pretty quick. That's a pretty quick turnaround. I feel like a lot of people go longer than those 2 weeks.
Well, it's a month and a half almost. Well, that's 5 weeks plus. That's a lot.
Well, I mean, but after Christmas though, I feel like a lot of people take a while to get them down. Like,
well, I will say this: I don't mind that. To each their own. It doesn't bother me. But if there's a sweet spot for that, I think that's a good target date on the front end and back end.
I did say this year that we were going to put up Christmas decorations and Christmas lights. I've never done it before because it's basketball season. Like I don't really want to be doing that.
Super busy.
Yeah. But I was like, for the kid, I was like, we should do that now. He's into it, and just never got around to it.
Well, and then part of it is the day that you plan to do it in this climate. Sometimes it just isn't conducive. Like here's the one day I got to do some stuff, and crap, it's 26 degrees and snowing out. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's not great. And we'll wrap it up with this. How early does Skinny get up on Christmas morning now? I have no idea how that ended up as the last question or why it was asked, but there we go.
I'm like a lot of people as in your younger years, you live to sleep in whenever you can sleep in, right? I just can't anymore. I fall asleep at 11:30 at night. I mean, I'm famous on road trips. They've got pictures of me in every town in North America that we've covered NFL games in, of me at a bar falling asleep at like 10 till midnight, because it hits me to the point they're like, you're a great drunk because you don't cause a fuss. You just kind of fall asleep. And then we kind of roused you to wake you up. And they go, a lot of times you just look down at your drink that's still full because you just ordered a new one. You drink that drink and you nod right back off. And then we get you back to the hotel. I'm like, that's perfect. But then I get a good sleep, and I'm like, usually I wake up anymore at like 4:30 in the morning for a brief minute. And then I'll go back to sleep, and I'll wake up anywhere between 6 and 6:30. It just is what I do. It is what it is. I like Christmas Day because we have my wife and my daughter and her husband over for a breakfast, kind of a brunchy thing to open presents here, and then we'll go to her house later on in the day and have dinner there later on. So they come over probably 10:30. So I at least got to be up and showered by then, don't I?
Yeah, that seems appropriate, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that's
maybe not showered, but at least up with a ball cap and sweatpants on.
Fair enough.
Shower later.
All right, that's all we got.
Yeah, before we go, I do have to say this. My condolences to my friend Jay Morrison. I'm going to probably cry. His wife, Nikki, most of you know, passed away. They took her off life support yesterday. She had a procedure on Friday and was deemed brain dead at that point in time. Myself and about 4 or 5 others who could make it on the Bengals beat went up. They did a walk of honor for her. They do it for organ donor patients. And it wasn't just us that was up there, because Jay sent us a text on Monday, said, hey, I don't want you guys to feel like you have to be there. I just want to give you the invite to come to this. And we certainly jumped at that because we love Jay, and he's one of ours. And the sadness in that family's face walking her down the hall it was a killer. So keep Jay in your thoughts and prayers. He's one of the good ones. And whatever you think of Zach Taylor as a coach, you saw Zach Taylor as a man in that press conference the other day, what kind of person he is, by saying what he said about Jay and his family. And so I'll just leave it at that. I know it's a sad way to end a podcast that we usually joke around on, but Jay's going to get through it. We went and had a wake of sorts last night at a bar after they pulled the plug on her. He was in good spirits because I think he's made peace with it, but keep him in your thoughts and prayers. One of my colleagues said the other day, he goes, hug your loved ones, man. You just never know. And then they're right about that. So with that, have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, and keep thoughts and prayers for Jay. For Rick Boring, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly Potpourri edition, presented by Blake the Attorney Maislin.